Welcome to this discussion of APA style, what you need to know. My name is Brian Billings, and today we will discuss the basics of using the American Psychological Association style when writing an essay. Today we'll be reviewing APA style, how to format your document in APA, including a sample title page, how to use in-text citations, including sample sources and block quotations, how to format your references page, and how to format individual references and resources. First, let's talk about style. Style in this case refers to the formatting and character attributes of a section of text. You can find information about stylistic elements as well as citation formatting in the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. For the purposes of this video, we'll focus on APA-specific punctuation, common abbreviations, how to format numbers in APA, how to use quotation marks, and how to format the quotations. Let's start with punctuation. APA requires that you insert one space after commas, colons, and semicolons, after periods that separate parts of a reference citation, and after periods of the initials in personal names. APA also requires periods after Latin abbreviations, so id est becomes I period E period. Use parentheses to refer readers to figures, illustrations, tables, and charts. You should also use parentheses to introduce an abbreviation after you've identified the full name. Do not use parentheses back to back. Brackets should enclose material that you, or anyone other than the work's original author, insert into a quotation. You should also use brackets to enclose parenthetical material that appears within a set of parentheses. Let's talk about abbreviations now. APA style uses several abbreviations, mostly derived from Latin words. You need to know these abbreviations and how to use them. I.e., id est means that is. Always follow this abbreviation with a comma and only use it in parentheses. E.g., exempli gratia means for example. This abbreviation also requires a comma following it, and you should only use it in parentheses. Viz. Vide licet means namely. Once again, follow this abbreviation with a comma and only use it parenthetically. Sic erat scriptum means thus it was written. Use this abbreviation in a direct quote to indicate that the original author has made an error, usually a spelling error. Always enclose the abbreviation in brackets and italicize it. etc., etc. means and other things. Use this abbreviation at the end of a series but only when necessary. Always follow it with a period. VS, versus. Abbreviate this word when you use it in parentheses, but spell the word out when you use it in the context of a sentence. Et al., et alia, means and others. Use this abbreviation to refer to more than two authors after the initial reference. This abbreviation appears the same whether it is in parentheses or in the sentence. Always follow it with a comma. Now let's talk about how to format numbers in APA. Use numerals to express numbers 10 and above, numbers in your abstract or graphs, numbers that represent mathematical functions, and numbers that represent time, dates, ages, scopes, points, and exact sums of money. The only exception to the above is if you refer to a date using a phrase similar to 3 months ago. In this case, you should spell out the number. You should also use words to express any number that begins a sentence, title, or heading. Numbers used in common fractions, such as 1/5 or 2/3, and numbers that have a historically accepted usage, such as the 12 Apostles or 4th graders. Finally, let's talk about how to format quotations in APA. Quotation marks should set off article titles when you mention them in your text. When you want to reproduce a test item drawn for participants, you should also enclose this information in quotation marks. You should enclose ironic comments, slang, or a quaint expression in quotation marks as well, but only enclose the first use in quotation marks. Use italics to cite a letter, word, phrase, or sentence as an example, and to introduce a technical or key term. When quoting less than 40 words of text, use standard in-text parenthetical citations. Use block quotations to quote text that uses more than 40 words. We'll discuss block quotations in more detail later. Next, we're going to discuss how to format an APA document. All APA documents follow the same general formatting rules. Number 1, double space your document. Number 2, use 12-point font, usually Times New Roman. Number 3, use 1-inch margins on all sides of the page. Number 4, include 3 main sections in your document. A, the title page, B, the main body and all sections therein, and C, the references section. The title page in your APA document has its own formatting specifications. Include the following on your title page. Number 1, a running head. Preface a shortened version of your title in all caps with the words running head, followed by a colon in the left-hand side of the header, and insert your page number on the right-hand side. Number 2, type your title, center justified, in the upper half of the page. Number 3, use a specific, informative, and interesting title. Number 4, beneath the title, type the author's name or authors' names, first name, middle initial or initials, and last name. Don't use titles such as doctor or degrees such as PhD. Number 5, beneath the title, type the name of the school or the affiliated institution. Number 6, at the bottom of the page, type the date, center justified, in month, day, year format. For detailed instructions on how to set up your paper in APA format using Microsoft Word, please see the instructional video, How to Set Up Your Paper in APA Format. One of the most important aspects of any style is formatting your citations. Let's begin by looking at in-text citation rules. To avoid plagiarism, you should answer the question, when should I cite a source? Always cite a source unless the information is common knowledge. How do you determine whether the data is common knowledge? The Online Writing Lab at Purdue University says, information is common knowledge if, number 1, you can find the information undocumented in at least 5 credible sources, or, number 2, you think the information you're presenting is something your readers will already know, or something a person could easily find in general reference sources. Always remember, when in doubt, cite it. Whenever using information from a source within your paper, you need to add an in-text citation after the information you have used. To cite a paraphrase, or a rephrasing of a quotation using your own words, provide the last name of the author or authors followed by a comma and the year of the source's publication. To cite a direct quotation using a dialogue tag, make sure you follow the last name or names with the year of publication in parentheses. At the end of the sentence, provide the page number prefaced by P and period in parentheses before the sentence's end punctuation. To cite a direct quotation that you incorporate into your own sentence, include the last name or names, the publication year, and the page number information in parentheses at the end of the sentence prior to the sentence's end punctuation. Remember, APA calls for past tense verbs to introduce source material in the signal phrase. Now let's discuss how to cite secondary sources. If the source you're reading incorporates a direct quote or cites specific research from another author, you need to cite both sources in your in-text citation. Name the original source in your signal phrase. List the secondary source, the author you're reading, in your reference list and cite the secondary source in the parentheses with the phrase, as cited in. So far, our focus has been upon how to cite single authors. But how do you cite more than one author? If an article has 2 authors, use and in the text and use the symbol ampersand in the parentheses. For 3 to 5 authors, list all the authors in the signal phrase or in parentheses the first time you cite the source. If you cite those authors again, only use the first author's last name followed by et al. In the signal phrase or in parentheses. Many of you will probably use more internet sources than print sources. So what are the differences between print in-text citations and internet in-text citations? Use the same format for paraphrasing internet sources as you would for a written source. If there is no page number for a direct quote, use the paragraph number if given. If no paragraph number exists, cite the heading title and then count the paragraphs from that header to the one you wish to cite. Use that number as your paragraph number. Internet sources with no distinguishable date should have ND referenced. Sources with no discernible page numbers should have NP referenced. Now we're going to talk about perhaps the most difficult part of any paper's style, the references section. The references page is your works cited page. Put the heading References, no quotes, at the top of the first references page, centered. Bold it only if you have other first-level headings. The first line of each entry starts all the way to the left. Keep the references page double-spaced. Each line following the first line is indented 1/2 inch, or tab. Page numbering continues through the references page or pages and includes the running head. Organize your sources alphabetically by the first author's last name or the organization's name without any A or the. Here are some examples of some of the more common APA references. Article in a journal, volume. Article in a journal, volume plus issue. Book with one author. And here are a couple of examples of electronic resource citations. Online journal article. Article from a database. Here is an example of what your references page should look like. Before I send you off to begin writing your first APA paper, let me offer you a few more resources that should help you with using APA style. Some websites that you might find useful include 1. Diana Hacker's website, which acts as a supplement to her references guidebook. 2. The online writing lab at Purdue University, which provides an easy-to-reference guide to citations and example papers. 3. The American Psychological Association website for their style guide. And 4. The University of Wisconsin's online handbook. Some useful books include 1. Diana Hacker's A Writer's Reference. 2. Lynn Quitman-Troika and Doug Hessa's Quick Access, A Reference for Writers. And 3. The Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association, 6th edition. Always remember that the university's writing tutors are happy to answer any questions you might have.